So let me tell you what went down then. No, I'm not exaggerating when I say the world rearranged itself into something I didn't recognize that night. We had been blasting old rock in the car. My kid's voice mangled and glorious as he tried to sing along to a song he didn't know the words to. Jonah eat freckled, sticky hair, and the kind of laugh that makes strangers grin back, had his head out the window like a little sail. We were 5 minutes from home. We were talking about pizza toppings like it was the future of civilization. Then a truck ran a light. Glass spidered. There was the sound of metal folding, a scream that wasn't mine, and Jonah's face. The last thing I remember clearly, as if time decided to freeze on it for a second. After that, everything was a blur of white and fluorescent and beeping. I don't remember getting to the hospital. I don't remember the ride. Only the way his small hand felt in mine and then not. They put him in ICU. He was hooked up to machines like a tiny astronaut in a spaceship built of plastic and wires. He looked ridiculous and sacred all at once, a child-sized island of cloth and tubes amid the clinical sea. Someone taped a sticker to his gown that said, "Brave." Brave felt like the wrong word. Terrified felt more honest. And while I sat there with my throat full of gravel and prayerless prayers spilling out of me, my phone buzzed like a wasp. A message from Claire, my sister. "Don't forget, we're meeting Saturday at the country club. Your niece needs someone to bring the lemon bars. You promised lemon bars." My fingers went ice cold. One typed and deleted. Typed and deleted. Finally, Jonah was hit by a truck. He's in ICU. I'm at St. Dolores. I hit send before my hands could betray me. Her reply came back like it had been written on a menu. "Oh my God. Are you okay?" But seriously, lemon bars. People are counting on you. No exclamation. No checkpoint for feeling. No, I'm on my way. Just logistics. My chest folded in on itself. Then Mom called. I let it go to voicemail because listening was unbearable. For missed calls to texts, one video of her and a cousin at a garden party pretending the weather was tragic for effect. My father, whose voice has the chill of a closed window, left a message. "You always make everything a production. Just handle it, handle it." As if I wasn't handling the possibility of never seeing my son run again. As if we were discussing curtains. I looked up from the phone to Jonah's face. Machines made the only soundtrack that mattered now. A mechanical lullaby. His eyelashes were clumped with tears that had dried like tiny glass crescents. A paper dinosaur sticker clung to his sheet, half peeled from where his fingers had worried at it. How do you explain to people who have never had to choose between their own feelings and a child's breath that you can't split yourself in two? They hadn't noticed the blood on the blanket. They hadn't noticed my shaking. Then my sister arrived, not with worrying but with the practiced air of someone stepping into the final act of a social play. She had a tote bag full of sample-sized things, a travel perfume, a coupon booklet, and neatly packed lemon bars in a bakery box with a sticker reading for less. She looked around, eyebrow in the exact position she kept for people who needed a lesson. "You're here," she said like it was a question and an accusation in the same breath. "Are you okay? Because we have the club by noon tomorrow and Emma will be devastated if the lemon bars aren't perfect." I could have laughed. I could have collapsed. Instead I said, very small, "Jonah might not make it through the night." She blinked, then checked her phone. "Oh, right. Are you sure you aren't making this more dramatic than it is?" Kids bounce back. "Remember when you tripped at prom and don't," I said, but I knew the sound of my voice had gone thin. The woman who should have been the first to run, or sif, or cry had only folded the moment into her mental itinerary. I felt exposed, all the years of being her backup plan, the person who rearranged plans so she could look good, the one who took the crumbs of their time and called them generosity. And I had, foolishly, been proud to do it. My dad's words were worse. When he finally showed, his tone had the neutral slope of someone reporting a weather forecast. "You always make tragedies about you," he said. "We have standards to keep." I looked at him like I was seeing him for the first time, not as the man who taught me to tie a tie, but as someone whose love was conditional on convenience. I remember thinking, oddly calm, that grief has a way of clarifying things the way a lens sharpens an image. There was a clear line running through the middle of the room. On one side, Jonah and the machines. On the other, my family's calendar. On one side, the only thing that mattered. On the other, their schedules. So I said the one thing that felt like the only thing I could hold as true. No, I told them, I won't be doing your baking. I won't be doing anything that takes me away from here. My sister's face contorted like someone had changed the channel on a TV and given her the remote. You can't just blow us off. You're unreliable when you get emotional. Emotional. I tasted the word like petties. They had always used it to make me small, to edit out the parts of me that demanded to be seen. But for the first time, their words rang hollow. Maybe because the beeping by Jonah's head sounded like a metronome for my decision. I remember standing, the hospital chair protesting, and walking back to the bed as if I were walking into a small country whose borders I had to defend. I took Jonah's bandaged hand, feeling how tiny it was compared to mine. And I promised him, not to the machines or to the staff, but to him, that I would stay. A nurse named Rosa slid into the room like a warm, practical thought. She had that steady way about her, the kind that makes strangers trust you in seconds. He's stable for now, she said quietly, and then, after a moment, she added, you don't owe anyone anything less than this. Those words landed softer and truer than anything my family had ever said. Because she saw what I saw, that love isn't a social obligation. It's a refusal to trade the person you hold for someone else's convenience. We got into a rhythm then me, plastic chair, Jonah's small hand between mine, and the night watching us like a long, patient tide. People kept calling. People kept leaving messages that sounded rehearsed. We're disappointed. You always choose the wrong things. One man even left a message that sounded like he'd written it for a press release. We're concerned about your behavior. It felt like the universe had developed a new way to punish me. Not with cruelty, but with bland, exacting indifference. Around 3 a.m. The monitor blinked in a way that made the world tilt sideways. Jonah stirred. His lips parted and a small sound, a slurred, sleepy version of his name, eased out. Mama, he whispered, and the word was a small bright thing like a coin. I cried then, not loud, but the kind of sob that rearranges your organs. And when I bent down, he opened his eyes, and for a second there was that old, glittering mischief there again. Did you bring the dinosaur? He croaked, because that's what kids do in the middle of theater of life. They request toys. I did, I said, and I slid a half-crushed stuffed stegosaurus back under his hand like it was a religious relic. The machines hummed. The night shift nurse adjusted the settings like we were moving notes up a scale. And for a little, while the world felt like it fit back into its own size. When the storm subsided and visiting hours let back in reality, my phone was full of messages, pity, anger, moralizing scripts. They said I'd embarrassed the family, that I'd made a scene, that I had shirked duties. The more they tried to pull me into their old script, the further away their words drifted. I had chosen to place my child's small breath above 1,000 petty expectations. That choice felt like a doorway closing softly but for good. In the days that followed, Jonah improved in tiny increments, breath by breath, smile by smile. I learned how to sleep sitting up without falling into the kind of sleep that erases memory. I learned how to answer the nurses without sounding like my throat was full of sand. I learned the simple, monstrous courage of saying no over and over until it stopped sounding like rebellion and started sounding like a compass. My sister stopped texting lemon bar updates after a week. My mom called twice, voice polite, as if checking on a decorative plant. But that silence from them isn't a hole, it's a map. It shows where I should never go back to. It points at the life I won't accept any longer. Jonah came home with a scar the size of a small moon under his ear and a grin like he'd stolen the sun. He slept in the daytime for a week and wanted pancakes at midnight. He insisted I tuck a tiny sticker dinosaur into his backpack as proof that I'd been there. He'll never remember the numbers on the monitors, but he'll remember the quiet face of the person who didn't leave. That will be enough. I'm telling you this because I know how persuasive family can be, how they cloak demands in traditions, how they call loyalty the thing that binds you and really mean obedience. But here's the clincher. The person who needs your loyalty most is the one who crawls into your chest at night and calls you mama or dad or caregiver. That person doesn't trade in plans or reputation. They trade in nighttime breath and scraped knees and all the small, enormous ways a life needs showing up for. So if you want a moral, it's not dramatic. It's a small, stubborn thing. Choose the human at your side, even if everyone else would rather you choose their party favors. Thank you for your time. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment. See you in the next video.